Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another video where I take a look at all the new comic books that are coming out on either November 3rd or 4th, 2020. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Now I'm recording this video on Halloween. Happy Halloween to all of you. I hope you're able to enjoy your Halloween in some way, shape, or form, even with all the bummers that 2020 have been so far. I'm going to go ahead and take this off and not wear it for the rest of the video. I want to mention that, as always, I feel like these videos are a little bit too long, so I'm going to try to move through all this information as quickly as possible, but I do feel like there's some worthwhile information here, so I want to make sure you receive it. The first is a series of new books that are coming out this week, and I want you to have on your radar. The first is Mighty Morphin from Boom Studios. This is the first of two new Power Rangers series that are coming from Boom Studios. I've never been much of a Power Rangers fan myself, but I actually read the Power Rangers Free Comic Book Day book that came out, and I was like, oh, okay, I could see that if you are a Power Rangers fan, that the comic book would be awesome for you. And I know that there are a lot of fans out there of the Power Rangers, so this might be a great opportunity to jump on the Power Rangers storylines if you're interested in something like that. The next one is a book that, in fact, I am interested in. It is also from Boom Studios, and it is called Origins. It's a limited series. This is issue number 1 of 6. Here's the description. 1,000 years after humans are killed off by artificial intelligence, one man is brought back to life, David Adams, who created the technology that destroyed his people. Now, with the help of the android Chloe, who revived him, David will try to restore humanity and stop the AI overlords he created. David embarks on the greatest battle of his life, seeking redemption while also discovering if humanity can or should have any kind of future. This sounds really interesting to me. Man, if I was picking up new books, if I just had unlimited funds, I would 100% pick this up and check it out. I may still even talk myself into picking this up, but because it's like a 1 of 6, I know that if I pick up 1, I'm going to end up having to pick up 2 through 6, so that's something I'm going to have to factor in. But it sounds really, really interesting to me, so if you're interested in a low commitment, what sounds like a cool story from a great company, you know I like Boom Studios, this might be something you might want to consider picking up this week, Origins. Next is another book that sounds kind of interesting to me. It's called Happy Hour from Ahoy Comics. Now, I'm going to put out there right away that this book might be a little bit more difficult to find. I do not think it is being sold, distributed through Diamond. So a lot of comic book stores might not have this, but it actually sounds kind of interesting. It's a short description. Let me read it. In future America, being happy isn't just a right, it's the law. While the Joy Police brutally enforce the cheery code, 2 young people go on the run, searching for a haven of melancholy where they can safely bask in the blues. Okay, that sounds like a fun concept. I like this cover. It looks kind of interesting to me. The story concept sounds interesting to me. You know, if you are looking for a number 1 and you just happen to see this on the shelf at your comic book store, you might want to scoop it up. It's probably going to be pretty rare, and if something like this ever gets made into a television show or something, there's going to be very few of them out there. This could be a hot lottery ticket to pick up if it ever gains any traction, but ultimately I would recommend buying it because it sounds like it might be a good read, so something to check out. The next number 1, first issue that I wanted to point out to you this week is U.S. Agent from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. This is also another limited series of 5. John Walker, the former super patriot, has been stripped of his official U.S. agent status and is now operating as an independent government contractor protecting government covert interests. His latest protection detail draws him into a conflict between a small town and the corporate giant trying to destroy it. John acquires a new partner and new enemy along the way while being haunted by ghosts from his past and confronting challenges to his future. Well, this sounds super generic, and I am not interested in it at all. There's a lot of judgment in my tone, but if for some reason you're like, that sounds awesome, man, more power to you. Please tell me in the comments about why I should not be judging it so harshly. But it does sound pretty like I said, I'll use the word generic once again. But if you read it and you like it a lot and you think I'm totally wrong about it, please let me know in the comments. It is a new book coming out this week. It is from Marvel Comics. I wanted it to be on your radar. Next, we're going to talk about my honorable mentions for cover picks this week. There aren't a ton of them, but I just wanted to flag some things some covers I saw, and I was like, okay, I like these. Let me share them with the folks. The first one is Miles Morales Spider-Man number 20. This cover is pretty simple with the white background, and his suit really pops on it, and it's a dynamic and it's well done. I like this cover a lot, and so I wanted to show it to you. The next one is We Only Find Them When They're Dead, issue number 2, second print. This one I was kind of back and forth. I was like, do I really like this one, or do I just think it's okay? I decided I like it. I decided I like it a lot. And I definitely like this series as well. So this might be something worth checking out. And this character that they're featuring here is also pretty cool. We don't know a ton about her yet. So it's a cool character, and it might be another reason that might be worth picking up this cover in particular. The next one I want to mention kind of surprised myself even with it, but it's 2 covers from the issue of Sacred 6 number 4. I like both of these covers. Generally speaking, I don't like books like Sacred 6 or Vampirella. To me, they're a little bit too overtly sexualized, and to me, that is not, it's a turnoff when it comes to what I want to buy for comic books. However, I do like these covers, I have to admit, the TNA aside, so I wanted to share them with you. The last one in my honorable mentions came this close to being my cover pick of the week. It is really good. It is Thor number 9, this Jenny Friesen Phoenix variant. They're doing a series of these, and this one is great. Jenny Friesen is great. I have a few of her covers, and I mean, I just really like it. I like all the detail. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's why I'm losing my speech here a little bit. It's really cool. It's really cool. This could have easily been my cover pick of the week. The one I picked barely edged it out. They should both actually just be my cover picks of the week. But this is a really great one. Okay, now moving on past cover picks for the week, we'll get to my actual cover pick later in the video. I want to mention some books that are just on my radar. These are books I like, you know. As they say, buy what you like. These are the books that I like. These are the books that I'm reading. I want to share with you what I'm enjoying reading right now. And the first one of those is Star Wars number 8. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, especially of the original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, you should 100% be reading this comic book right now. It is filling in the gap of the story between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And this is an area of story that I've always been interested by, and now I am finally getting that story in this series. It's well done. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, if you're a Star Wars fan, I highly recommend you read this series. It's only in issue number 8. I'm sure you could find 1 through 7 if you hunted hard enough for them. And to me, it's worth it. It's been a good read. The next one I want to mention is The Goddamned, The Virgin Brides. Now this is from writer Jason Aaron, which is exactly why I started reading this series in the first place, because I've heard a lot of good things about Jason Aaron, and I kept reading it because it's really good. It's really well written. It's an interesting story. It is dark, but I am enjoying it. It's a limited series. I believe this might be the second to last issue in it. Listen, I don't think this book has any spec potential. I don't think this book is going to be worth more than cover price, maybe ever in its life, but it's been a great read, and I'm going to see it all the way through. And in fact, I talk a lot about writers here on these videos, and I'm definitely writer focused, and I want to include Jason Aaron in the group of great writers that are out there, because he's really great, and this series has been really great, and I've really enjoyed it. Another one that's on my radar this week and that I'm enjoying a lot, as you know, as a James Tynion fan, is Batman 103. Comes out this week. Batman has been great. James Tynion is amazing. Now, they're saying a little bit that this is the first full appearance of Ghostmaker. Now, apparently that's very arguable because you could easily say that issue 100 was his first full appearance. You know, people always love to debate this stuff. What I would recommend is, if you're interested in the Ghostmaker character, that you buy this one as well as having issue number 100 and just have all your bets covered as far as that is concerned. But ultimately, the reason to buy Batman is because it's a no-brainer, because it's really good. Because it's written by James Tynion really well. It's Batman. Batman is just one of the coolest characters ever. And then the Ghostmaker spec is just additional reason to have it on your radar. Speaking of spec books for the week, I want to mention this next book, and that is Captain Marvel number 23. Captain Marvel is a book that I read for a little bit, and then I dropped off, and now I'm thinking of getting back on. It seems like they're dumping a lot of first appearances and stuff into Captain Marvel, which I find very, very interesting. It's almost like they're like, okay, you know, they want Captain Marvel to succeed very, 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 very badly, so they keep dumping these first appearances in there, hoping that the spec community will jump on this title and enjoy it. And what I read, I enjoyed. I just didn't stick with it, but I think I'm going to stick with it again. I ran out and I picked up issue number 22. I ended up getting the horror movie variant of that one because it's the only one I could find, because that book sold out everywhere because it had two first appearances in it. It had the first appearance of Sora, the daughter of Forge and Quanon, formerly Psylocke, and it also had the first appearance of Phantom X5. Well, Captain Marvel 23 also has the first appearance of Ove, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, O-V-E, son of Namor, and also has first appearance of Bridget. So it's got two more first appearances in it. The solicitation for it is interesting, and I think perked a lot of ears for people also when it said, "Meet the villain of the century. The future is here and haunting Captain Marvel. New York City is in chaos and all her strongest allies are gone, but the enemy has only grown stronger with time. The child of Redacted," they're not telling us, and Redacted, also not telling us, makes Carol Danvers' life a living hell. And you're going to love every second of it. So is that character Sora, you know, daughter of Forge and Quanon? Is it Ove, son of Namor and somebody else? I don't know. But this Captain Marvel book might be one to keep an eye on. Like I said, 22 sold out everywhere. The day after it came out, I was hunting everywhere for it and I couldn't find it. It was gone, gone, gone. So don't sleep on this one as well. If you see it, you might want to scoop it out just for its spec potential. Okay, so last week I had a special feature, a little special section of the video for one of my favorite writers, my favorite writer, James Tynion IV, called Tynion Time. Well, this week I'm going to have a similar feature for, let's go ahead and say, my second favorite writer, Donny Cates. And we're going to go ahead and call it Cates' Corner. You like the alliterations? I guess I do. So here you go again. This week on Cates' Corner, we have a lot of stuff coming out from Donny Cates or Donny Cates related. The first I want to focus on a bunch of late printings that are coming out from Donny Cates titles. The first one I want to mention is Thor number 2, 6th print. Now I mentioned this one, I'm picking this one up. And the reason I'm picking this one up is because I basically decided that it's very likely I'm going to end up sending my copy of Thor number 2 first print into CGC to be graded and encapsulated, at which point I will have no copy of Thor number 2 to read. So I'm going to pick up this 6th print of it because it's coming out this week. I can get it for cover price, and then I will have a reader copy of Thor number 2. Also, it's going to be a 6th print. I would be very surprised if there's going to be a 7th print. So the print numbers for it might be extremely low, which may lend it to having some additional value in the future, potentially. I'm not so concerned about that. I just want it to read. If you think you might send off your copy of Thor number 2 first print off to CGC at some point, and you want a reader copy, pick this one up, because I think that these later printings are just going to become more and more difficult to find. And I'm going to attach that same advice to the rest of these later printings that I'm about to list off right now, which include Venom number 25, the 5th print, We also have Venom 26, the 4th print. And then we have Venom 28, the 2nd print. You know, if you love your first prints and you think you might send them off, buy these so that you have reader copies. Also, if you're just a hardcore Venom or Thor fan and you just want to have every single one, you know, I can dig that too. Pick up these for that reason. There's been a lot of spec on later prints these days, some of which I think is justified, some of which not so much. If you've watched my videos, you know my opinion on that. But they're out this week. You might want to consider checking them out and picking them up if you see them out there. The next one is a bit of an honorable mention, I guess, to the Kate's Corner category. Alliteration there again. And it is Web of Venom, Empire's End. And the reason it's an honorable mention is because it's not written by Donny Cates, but it is kind of tied into the upcoming King in Black crossover event that's happening in Marvel. So I wanted to mention it as part of Kate's Corner. I'm definitely going to pick this up. You know, it's doubtful that I'm going to pick up every King in Black tie-in or related book that comes out. But for right now, they're coming out so infrequently, like one at a time and every few weeks, that I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll pick it up. But once the event happens in earnest, I'm probably just going to focus on the main Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, main King in Black series, limited series. But basically, if it's King in Black and Donny Cates' name on it, I'm going to end up picking it up, and we'll see if I end up having the self-control and not buy a bunch of the tie-ins. But I'm going to pick this one up. It seems to be kind of a bridge between Empire and the King in Black, and I wasn't really into Empire, but maybe it'll get me caught up on what's been going on in the Marvel Universe, as well as tee me up for what's to come with the King in Black. So something for you to consider picking up and checking out. Next on Kate's Corner was a book that was this close to being my choice for my Just One book this week, and that is Thor number 9. Now, this also has that Jenny Friesen cover that we talked about earlier. That was my honorable mention for a cover pick of the week. It's really great. But the reason why I'm interested in this book is several reasons. It's Thor, and I'm really enjoying Thor. It's a no-brainer to me. It's Donny Cates, once again, another no-brainer to me. But several months ago, I've mentioned before that I was watching Donny Cates and Megan Hutchinson as they were doing their live streaming book club on YouTube. And at one point, you know, at the beginning of the video, they would kind of chat back and forth about stuff, and they would chat with chat. About stuff and answer questions. And one thing Donny Cates said is, woo, Thor number 9. You guys just wait. Now, Donny Cates doesn't necessarily highlight something like that because he thinks it's going to be massively spec-worthy. He highlights that because he's excited about the story. And as a reader, first and foremost, I'm excited that Donny Cates is excited. Originally, I thought that issue number 9 was going to be the 3rd issue in the 2nd storyline, and as I learned, it's actually the 1st issue in the 3rd storyline. And it's my understanding, if my information is correct, that the Thor story is going to take a little bit more of a horror vibe to it, you know? I just am really excited about stuff that Donny Cates does, obviously, and I'm excited about the direction that this title could potentially take with this new issue. And I would say, if for some reason you have not been reading Thor, and because you were like, man, it wasn't on my radar until all the Black Winter hype around issue 4 or 5, and then I missed out on that, and now I'm not picking it up now, it's too far gone. I think 9 is going to be an excellent place to jump on. The storyline that was kind of the bridge storyline between the Black Winter storyline and now this one in issues 7 and 8 was a bit of like a palate cleanser storyline. I wouldn't have recommended jumping on there, but I definitely recommend jumping on here with issue number 9 if you haven't already. But that leads me to the end of Kate's Corner with my pick this week, that if I could buy just one book, that book would be Crossover from Image Comics. Once again, this cover is also my cover pick of the week. I like it a lot. And in fact, I think it kind of tells the story really well for me, and I think it's just really dynamic and cool, and the colors, and it's just, I can see myself as a kid reading and imagining that happening and being like, this is awesome, you know? And there's some kind of like homages, I would call them, to this cover that certain store exclusives have done. I guarantee if you go and check them out, you won't be disappointed, but I'm not going to bother showing them here. Let me read the description. It's really short. I actually don't know a ton about this book, but let me read the description. It says, the creative powerhouses behind the best-selling, critically acclaimed God Country, Thanos Wins, and Redneck returns for the biggest launch of the year. Imagine everything you thought was fantasy was real. And now join us in a world where reality is dead and anything is possible. I mean, as if just like Donny Cates wasn't reason enough for me to want to read this book, now what he's done is he's created a world where anything is possible, where reality is dead, and you know, everything that you thought was fantasy is real. Man, that's gonna be fun. This just sounds like a fun read. There are a lot of great homage covers out there that are like, you know, like, once again, I'm not going to show them here today. You should go out and you should just check them out. There were tons of store exclusive covers that were homages to things like X-Men 141, Tron, The Walking Dead. It's basically like, they're really kind of running with the idea that the fantasy world that we all know and love is part of this world's reality. And that's really exciting to me, because as a comic book reader, especially as a kid, but even now, man, I read a comic book and I imagine myself transported into that fantasy world where these types of amazing things that happen in these comic books are possible. Well, imagine if that world came into our world. That would be it's just an amazing, wonderful idea. And I'm really excited to read this. Now, from a spec perspective, you know, it's a Donny Cates #1. I don't think you can go wrong with that. However, these are not going to be hard to find. I think people were very aware of this book coming out. I think they were very aware that Donny Cates was writing it, and I think they were very aware to go ahead and order it and pre-order it and buy it and reserve it and all that fun stuff. So I think there are going to be a lot of copies of this out there. So I don't know that it's going to necessarily like blow up in value. That might happen more in issues 3 or 5 or whatever, as the amount of copies ordered by retailers goes down, which is just an inevitable drop off, because everybody's like, I get the issue #1, and then they don't get anything else afterwards. But Donny Cates does tend to like, I mean, you think about Thor #1. Thor #1's not very valuable. The ones that are valuable are like 2, a little bit of 4, 5. You know, so it'll be those later issues, I think, that will really have potential spec second market value. But honestly, the main reason to scoop up this book is that it just sounds like it's going to be a very fun, very exciting, wonderful read. Which is, I mean, hopefully, ultimately, what all of us are into comic books for in the first place. And the art, of course, as well. The art is by D. Cuniff. I don't know who that is, but we'll see. If they didn't do the cover of this, the main thing, that was Dave Stewart and other people. But I'm just really... Like I said, I'm excited about this book. I don't need to know much about it other than Donny Cates, and it sounds really cool. So for all of those reasons, that is why this book is my just one pick for this week. Whew. Okay, so as always, thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I hope you find this information valuable. You know, if you don't like my pick, let me know in the comments. If you love my pick, let me know in the comments. If you would have picked something else, let me know what that pick would be in the comments. If you like the video, you like the content, likes are always appreciated. They're very encouraging to me. If, for some reason, this is the first one of my videos that you have watched. I'm very surprised about that, but welcome. Thank you so much for checking it out. I make these videos every week, as well as my Test Your Comic Book Grading Skills videos that I try to get out as often as possible. I just put out my follow-up to my CGC unboxing nightmare. If for some reason you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend that you check out the original video and the follow-up. It'll take an hour out of your life to watch both of them, so it's a bit of a commitment, but there's a lot of great information in there. You might want to check it out. And if you're interested in all that content and you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe guy. And make sure you hit the notification bell so that you're made aware of when I put out new videos. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you in the next one.